So just I shared one fact. The other 2-3 facts are that she is the first women Minister of HRD in our country and youngest education minister or HRD minister of the country ever we have. And she is successor of illustrious educationist like Dr. Maulana Abul Kalam Azad, Mr. P.V. Narasimha Rao, so many illustrious people of the country, and she is now presiding Ministry of HRD. And I would like to say that tomorrow is your birthday, madam. So all the members of EPSI would say you happy birthday. So welcome to Honorable Minister of HRD, Smriti Zubin Irani.
मंच पर विराजमान हायर एजुकेशन के कर्नाटक प्रदेश के मंत्री आदरणीय जयचंद्र जी, मिनिस्टर ऑफ स्टेट फॉर मेडिकल एजुकेशन शरण प्रकाश जी, मंचस्थ सभी महानुभाव और आज इस सभागार में उपस्थित राष्ट्र भर से पधारे सम्मानित एजुकेशनिस्ट, एकेडमिशियंस, educational leaders, ladies and gentlemen. At the onset, let me confess, not many women would want to be greeted with happy birthday a day before the actual birthday. We all try to slow the aging process as much as we can. But nonetheless, I am grateful for the affection, for the respect shown to me on this. And I hope to reciprocate it with certain announcements today, given the expression of concern that I heard from Vishwanathan ji in the opening remarks of today's conference. But to honestly pay homage to this endeavor as to how to make our nation a global hub for higher education, one needs to begin from the basics. I have perused the suggestions given by EPSI to the Committee for Evolution of the New Education Policy. And I'm extremely grateful that the suggestions given did not pertain to only higher education. There is a recognition of the fact that till we do not look at education as a cohesive entity and apply ourselves to solutions from school education onwards to higher education, the systemic changes that we seek, the quality that we hope to enhance, is not possible if we divide education on the basis of various parameters. Hence, it is my privilege that I have been blessed with the opportunity that after 3 decades, we tried to now give our country a new education policy. But when we set about this particular movement of having a policy, and I rightly call it a movement because this was not an initiative limited to a few academicians or a bureaucrat sitting in Delhi deciding the educational future of our country. We decided to leverage every democratic institution and instrument which is available in our country and engage them in dialogue, deliberation, and at some instances debate, so that a policy evolves reflecting the aspirations, the needs of our nation as a whole. When I began in January 2015, I was told that the plan that I present is an impossibility. We had over 250,000 village education councils. My appeal was that could we use technology to reach out to every one of them, engage with them and tell them the elements of education with regards to which we seek their intervention, their advice, their input, and then involve those inputs into the national policy. I was told that this is a mammoth task never been done before in the history of our country, and not many will be interested. After all, when we look at the blossoming of technology, there is a presumption and a prejudice that it is limited only to the urban centers. People did caution me that when you talk about village education council, which village will have the patience to sit, understand the technological parameters of uploading a whole draft, understand each element of the 33 themes, plus The elaborate process of involving all stakeholders and coming forth with a policy document that is reflective of that village's aspiration and needs with regards to education. I similarly undertook an appeal to ensure that all urban local bodies, all districts, all states are involved in this process of deliberation. I was told that this is a fanciful wish which will never come true, but I'm happy to note today that over 110,000 villages have, using technology, given to us in writing what is it that they seek out of the education policy. Over 6,000 blocks that we engaged with, 5,500 blocks gave us their aspect of the education policy. Over 1,400 urban local bodies gave us their template as well. So did states. And we formulated a committee which will now shortly give us a new direction, a new pathway. But the one request that we added to the committee was give us a time-bound framework for action. Because we speak of reform, but if reform is not bound within a time limitation, then that is an injustice that is prolonged for long. And I'm hopeful that the framework for action that will come forth will also reflect on the aspirations of Indian educational institutions to leverage their excellence so that they can attract more and more foreign students into our country, making thus our nation a global hub for education per se, not only higher education. But one of the concerns that is rightfully reflected is what do you do in the government sector to enhance capacity, to look at the gaps and to bridge those gaps in a time-bound fashion. Ladies and gentlemen, I am happy to share with you that in the government sector, all education ministers of the country sat together and have resolved that from the month of April onwards, all government school principals, school by school, state by state, will be handpicked for academic leadership and administrative leadership workshops so that those day-to-day challenges that schools face in the public sector are dutifully addressed within the state, within the district, in order to enhance capacity. The other challenge is, if I ask today anybody about learning outcomes, there will be many who will give me reams and reams of paper, but not many who can specifically tell me what is the learning outcome for standard 5 mathematics. The challenge is that we seek to judge our children and also build a pressure on the education ecosystem, saying that learning outcomes are not very good for our school systems. But the challenge is that when a child himself or herself is unaware of the outcome or the benchmark that they are to reach, how just is it for us to then judge them so and then mark them on a paper which becomes a part of their destiny forever? Hence, through the NCERT, one of the initiatives we have undertaken is that in this forthcoming academic session, we will ensure that from standard 1 to 8, learning outcomes subject-wise is available to every school in this country so that every child, every parent is aware of what are the benchmarks in every class that their child should aspire to have. The other issue is about assessment in the school sector. There are various reports about the quality of education in the public sector. But the challenge is that there is very less scientifically collected data available. The National Assessment Survey by NCERT was once in 3 years, thereby making us as stakeholders and governments at the center and the state lose out on time with regards to proper intervention to enhance quality. In this particular year, the Government of India has initiated a new engagement with NCERT, which will ensure that National Assessment Survey is carried out state by state and is available to governments at the center and the state on a yearly basis so that any intervention that is needed to be made in the school sector can be done so in the forthcoming academic session itself, thereby saving us time and helping us enhance quality of education. But I am well aware that many are waiting with bated breath as to what about reforms in the higher education sector, a sector that you all are very closely related to. There are 2-3 issues that I am today in a position to discuss and in a position to declare. There are some issues with regards to the 2010 regulation which are sub judice in matter, and for me to speak on them I think would be constitutionally and legally inappropriate. Hence, the 2-3 declarations that I can make today, I am hopeful will gladden the hearts of many in this august audience. One of the issues which is brought forth even in the deliberations and suggestions given by the EPSI is why have Sarkari nominees in board of management of those institutions which are never funded by the government? I agree. I have given directions to the UGC that we do not want a government nominee in the boards of private institutions which are not funded by the government of India. If in terms of the regulator having an engagement with that institution, the UGC may have a nominee, but also a nominee not to be taken on the whims and fancies of any individual, but a structured search cum selection process which will bring about transparency with regards to even the nominee the UGC will send to such institutions. The other issue, which has been very close to Vishwanathanji's heart, and he spoke about it this morning, with regards to affiliated colleges. I'm aware of the potential that can be leveraged through affiliated colleges, but I'm also aware of the strings that are attached to the affiliating university. We are a government that takes decisions in tandem with the states, and that is why when Vishwanathanji was speaking, I had a word with Jayachandraji, and I said I am in a position to declare that affiliated colleges that have for the past 10 years received the highest grade of NAC will be given autonomy if they get an NOC from the affiliating state university. I am told by the Karnataka Higher Education Minister that that is a decision that he will support, and I'm hopeful that with this reform, a great push can be given with regards to availability of not only autonomous instruments and institutions, but also with regards to servicing a vast and ever-expanding higher education sector. There are some reforms that were brought forth by the AICTE in the field of technical education. I believe not many are aware of it. One of the primemost concerns of my ministry was the license raj of AICTE and the approvals that everybody had to run to AICTE for every year, and that is a sword that hung on every institution's head. The AICTE has declared that if you get accreditation for 5 years, then your approval will also be granted for 5 years, thereby ending the yearly license raj that institutions were subject to. There are many institutions who wanted to close and possibly shift their avenues and shift their objectives, and they were trapped because they felt that they had to endlessly wait for paperwork to come through from states onward to the center. The AICT has done away with getting an NOC from the states to close down institutions. If institutions want to close down, they can approach the AICTE directly and have paperwork done accordingly. One of the thrusts of the Honorable Prime Minister has been on skilling India. We recognize the potential of leveraging our universities and our colleges for enabling the skilling process in India. And what better city than Bengaluru to announce that not only has the AICTE allowed using doubly of infrastructure apart from approved courses for vocational and skill education, but also today in conjunction with UGC I am able to declare that all 2F and 12B institutions who have approved courses running will also be allowed within their infrastructure in double shifts to run skilling programs, those programs for which national occupational standards have been set. And for this, all you have to do is inform UGC, not seek permission from UGC. And I'm hopeful that with this leverage and with this impetus, the skilling program, which is dear to the hearts not only of the central government but also the state, will get the added boost that is required for this sector. But there is one concern which I'd like to join cause with the Minister of State for Medical Education. Apart from the fact that the private sector is in a position in conjunction with government to bring about reform in the system of education, our endeavor is also to caution those people who use education to fleece our children belonging to disadvantaged societies or children coming from the rural segment. My appeal through EPSI is this. The AICT and UGC run a portal called the Know Your College portal, under which through a mobile app, declarations are made by every educational institution with regards to all the infrastructure, all the academic and research capacity of that institution, so that students can make a free and fair choice about the institution that they would like to enroll with. I urge EPSI today to promote the Know Your College portal and mobile app and ensure more and more private institutions part with their data so that transparently our students are able to identify which institutions they seek education in. The other challenge that confronts us all is affordable education. And affordable education is a dream that many not only see but also hope to sustain. And I would urge today the private sector to help us bridge that gap. Vishwanathan ji had a very good idea that he shared with me. He said that I am willing to give free education to girl toppers in my state, in my institution. Can we do the same in more or less capacity across the country for not only girls but also students who are differently abled? They say one should lead by example. I would like to say that last year, as the chairperson of the IIT Council, for the first time in the history of our country, I as chairperson waived off full fee for every differently abled student in the entire IIT system. What is it that we can do for those who belong to disadvantaged communities, for girls and for differently abled students, is a decision that I leave to the private sector. But I am hopeful that this appeal of mine and my colleagues from the state will be met resolutely with a lot of positive promise by those who belong to the EPSI family. Last but not the least, if we seek to make India a global hub for higher education, what is the outreach program that we have today? I am aware that EDSIL, which is a PSU of MHRD, does outreach programs with regards to the scholarship that the government of India has to offer under MEA. And I am of the opinion that do we seek to attract students only through scholarship schemes of the government of India? My belief is that our educational system offers excellent opportunity to those who seek education in hotspots like Bengaluru, who seek education in hotspots like Mumbai or Delhi or Gurgaon for that matter, or even a lovely professional university in Punjab. Why not we together, government and private sector, engage with nations across the world and try and attract those students who seek affordable excellence, and thereby ensuring that India becomes a global hub for affordable excellence in the field of higher education. My appeal is that if the EPSI family can come up with a template wherein we can leverage our potential worldwide and do targeted outreach programs to attract foreign students from the next academic year, Government of India is more than happy to support that initiative so that across the world we can project our hospitality, our excellence in the field of education, and tell people, come study in India. I am hopeful that this appeal of mine will also be met with a lot of positivity. At the end, I will only say this, that in our government, under the leadership of the Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi, there are 2-3 initiatives with regards to reforms which we have undertaken. We are cognizant of the fact that we don't want the regulator to act as though it is a part of the Inspector Raj, but act as a facilitator and as an enabler. If there are any issues with regards to both the regulators, be it the UGC or the AICT, my appeal is that you as the EPSI family or any other individual or organization running an educational institution who wants to expand on the platform of quality education, do let us know how we can help facilitate your expansion, with the added appeal that when the government facilitates, there is only that expectation that those who are ordinarily left behind, those who are a part of our educationally backward blocks, will also get that added support from the private sector. With that wish, I am hopeful that this conference of yours will meet with a lot of success. My best wishes for the same. Jai Hind.